2 years ago, I applied to college out of high school, and my results were unexpected to say the least. I had a 4.5 GPA, took 11 APs, scored a 1510 on the SAT, and had multiple extracurricular activities with leadership positions. Out of all the schools I applied to, only one accepted me, which was UC Santa Barbara. Ultimately, this left me lost and confused, and even disappointed in myself. I thought my stats were strong and that I did everything that was expected of a good student, yet the rejections continued piling up. Each time I read the words, "Sorry, we regret to inform you," I felt more and more beat down. It made me question whether any of the work I put in actually amounted to anything. It sort of felt like the last 4 years of my life went to utter waste. Although I got into UC Santa Barbara, I honestly still felt very disappointed in myself. I thought that I deserved to be somewhere better. And on top of that, I kept hearing the phrase, "You end up where you're meant to be." And I get it, people say that to make themselves feel better. But I just couldn't accept this as the be-all end-all for me. I couldn't stop feeling that I fell short of my full potential. Not because UCSB is not a good school, but because I knew I had more to give. This is when I learned about transferring. Transferring sounds untraditional and unlikely, but I had to try something. Some people thought I was crazy for wanting to transfer, despite already going to a good school. But I didn't want to settle for what was good enough. I wanted to see how far I could truly go. After my freshman year, I decided to apply to college again. This time I believed I had a better shot due to some college experience, some projects under my belt, and having more of a sense of direction as to what I wanted to do with my life. And honestly, I got pretty close. I was waitlisted at Columbia University and Northwestern University. I felt a glimmer of hope, and I was hoping I could get off one waitlist. I wrote letters of continued interest to each of these schools, and I waited and waited until I heard back from both. Unfortunately, I didn't get off either one. At that point, it felt like history was repeating itself. I started to wonder if transferring was even worth it for me, and even thought that maybe this whole school thing wasn't for me either. I felt so close to my goals, yet so far at the same time. It felt like it was right in front of me, but I just couldn't grab onto it. But here's the thing about rejection. It only defines you if you let it. Typically, transferring is only available during your freshman and sophomore years of college. This meant I only had one last time to try. I decided to double down. I took harder classes, I pushed my GPA, I got an internship, and I built more projects. But most importantly, I focused on crafting a story that connected all of my experiences towards a single narrative of electrical engineering, which was the discipline that I wanted to go into. A year later, during my sophomore year, I decided to apply again. And this time, I got into Northwestern University. And I want to make this clear. The difference was not some overnight glow up. It was about understanding the application process better, refining my narrative, and demonstrating growth. I didn't magically become a better student. I simply became better at presenting my journey, my challenges, and building skills that all aligned with a similar goal. Getting in is not just about the numbers. It's about crafting your application in a way that brings all the pieces of your life together into one compelling story. One of the biggest lessons I learned is this. Your application is just as important as your GPA, test scores, and extracurriculars. You could have a 4.0, perfect test scores, internships, and leadership roles, and still not get into the college that you want. If your application doesn't connect the dots and tell a clear story about who you are and what your goals are, you're not giving the admissions officers a reason to fight for you. Your essays, your activities, and the way you present your interests all need to align into one singular narrative. For me, that was electrical engineering. But back in high school, I didn't have that reason. Part of the problem was that I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 17 years old. And who can blame me? How many 17-year-olds know what they want to do for the rest of their life? I mean, a part of me wanted to study engineering, and then there was another part of me that wanted to study finance or business. I listed activities and achievements, but I never built a story that pointed to one singular narrative. And that's where I fell short. So here are the lessons that I learned through all of this. Stats are not good enough alone. You need to weave them into a compelling story that shows who you truly are. Rejection doesn't mean that you're not good enough. And rejection is not a permanent verdict. As you can see through my experience, Just because you were rejected somewhere doesn't mean that you can't end up somewhere better eventually down the road. Don't settle just because others tell you to. If you know you're capable of more, you owe it to yourself to keep trying. You're not defined with how you start. It's about what you do with the opportunities that you have and how you create new ones for yourself in the future. And lastly, you belong where you think you belong. It's not about what school accepts you, it's about what you do with the situation you're given. People will always tell you that you're meant to be where you ended up, but sometimes that's just a way of feeling comfortable. You don't have to accept that narrative if you don't want to. So, if you're watching this and you're currently facing rejection, or you're in a place where you're not happy with, this is what I have to tell you. Rejection is simply part of the process, and it doesn't mean it's the end of it. You have a lot more control over your situation than you think. 2 years ago, and even just last year, I felt very lost and didn't know what to do with my life. But the difference is that I never stopped trying, and look where that got me. Don't be afraid to take the untraditional route. Don't be afraid to reapply to college. Don't be afraid to transfer. Don't be afraid to build yourself into the person that you want to be. If this resonated with you in any kind of way, please drop a comment down below and give this video a like. And if you want any personal transferring advice, you can book a meeting with me in the link down in the description. And that is all for this video. My name is Emmett Funston, and I hope my story can serve as inspiration to your life. And always remember that rejection does not mean it's the end of your story. Peace.